Okay, I'd like to call to order the Historic Preservation Commission meeting. We'll take roll call.
Yes, thank you. Vice Chair Laramie,
Here.
Commissioner Stodall,
Here.
Commissioner Levine, Commissioner Hotchkiss, Commissioner Serfas,
Here.
Commissioner Cosgrove,
Here.
Commissioner Palacios,
Here.
Commissioner Moody,
Here.
Commissioner Perdue, Commissioner Grimmer, Commissioner Harper, Commissioner Seabrandt,
Here.
Commissioner Gillespie.
Here.
Thank you. We do have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Item number 2 is our announcement regarding compliance with open meeting law. Are we currently in compliance?
Yes, we are.
Thank you. Item 3 is public comment. Comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. If you wish to be heard, please come forward and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed may be limited. Seeing no one in our public audience today, we'll move on to item 4. This is our chair's announcement relative to the Historic Preservation Commission. Chair Stoldo, any announcements?
Vice Chair Laramie, I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 5 for possible action to approve the final minutes by reference of the regular meeting of August 27th, 2025. Do we have any comments or a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the agenda as presented. Commissioner Cosgrove.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That item passes with the vice chair also voting in favor. Item number 6, 25-0427-HPC1, discussion for possible action regarding approval of the second draft of the intensive level historic resources survey of the Cliff May homes, roughly bounded by Evergreen Avenue, Heron Avenue, Easy Street, Upland Boulevard, and Idle Avenue. Dr. Seabrandt?
Seabrandt for the record. Our presenter is going through security right now. So hopefully she'll be here momentarily. I don't know if you would want to go to the next item or wait for her. What I can say until she gets here, and Chair Stodall, I think you said you may have had comments on the second draft. Please email those to me as soon as you can so that we can get it back to our consultant in order for her to make the changes. So Acting Chair Laramie, as you wish to do.
Okay, we can take item 7 out of order and let our presenter get here and get settled before we take her. Do I need to have a motion on that or no? Okay. We'll skip item 6 for now. We'll move on to item 7, 25-0428-HPC1. Report by the Community Development Department regarding the walkthrough on August 25th, 2025 of the Huntridge Theater located at 1208 East Charleston Boulevard.
Okay, thank you. Seabrandt for the record. Director Floyd and I did the walkthrough of the Huntridge Theater on August 25th. We did send out a mass email to everybody asking if they would like to join us. I did not get any response, so I'm not sure if the email, something happened or nobody was available. But again, we'll always do that when we do those walkthroughs in the event anybody would like to join us. The purpose of the walkthrough is, of course, part of the HPC the city's responsibilities with the settlement agreement with the Huntridge Theater. And we were making our notes as far as the conditions that we vote on at the end of the year. And if everybody does recall, the rehabilitation efforts refer specifically to the original 1944 exterior walls, marquee as it presently appears, after 1980 and 1993 renovations, the monument sign, and the interior configuration of both the lobby and the theater. And so this is the first part of the marquee and the tower and the walls. They look the same as they have for this past several years. This is the lobby. The image on the left, is their left the same as my left? The image on the left is looking into the lobby, and the image on the right is looking out of the lobby towards the doors. And with the images and the photos you see on the wall are left over from a couple years ago when they had the sign lighting. And then the last part of the theater that we look at is the theater seating itself. The picture on the left with the yellowish looking panels, that is the stage. And then looking on the right-hand side where you see looking out towards the garage where the seats would be and saying where it has the Soho Playhouse logo. And it quite honestly looks the same as it did about 3 years ago. Director Floyd, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
So I'm embarrassed to say this is actually the first time I had been in the Huntridge Theater. I've been invited a number of times, so I'll defer to Diane on what it looked, how it looked previously. But it was in good, clean condition. Obviously, it had been cleaned out, and we were able to walk around and see some of the features of the building. So I'm glad I finally got in there to take a look at it.
So happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from commissioners?
So I'm sorry, I would have loved to have gone with you. I've been through it a bunch of times. I can confirm that Councilman Palacios, for the record, I can confirm that this looks very, very similar to when it did on the light signing party. A question that I had was, were we expecting change, or this was really to look and see that things hadn't gotten worse from the last walkthrough? And was there a last? What was the expected outcome here? What was the goal?
So the goal as part of the settlement agreement is the city is allowed to do, as well as the HBC, at least 2 walkthroughs a year. Of course, Mr. Dapper has always been very generous that anytime we want to go, we can. The purpose of this visit is just to meet those settlement agreement requirements that let us walk through. We didn't take a checklist that says, you know, this is done or that's not done, but we did the overall imagery that shows you what those elements that we're responsible for look like.
Thank you.
Vice Chair Laramie?
Go ahead, Chair Stodall.
The question here is, first of all, Mr. Dapper should be given credit for really stabilizing the structure and cleaning it up and maintaining it. The challenge that he faces, the agreement calls for restoration. And if there is no restoration, then the HPC cannot reduce the judgment that was accepted as part of the sales agreement. It doesn't penalize the current owner. It just simply says that we cannot reduce it. He has the opportunity, once restoration begins, to erase the judgment against the building. But again, he has stabilized the structure, which is important. And at this point, actual restoration, which is part of the legal agreement that was signed by Mr. Dapper, the City of Las Vegas, and the State Attorney General's office, actually calls for the reduction of the judgment against in the sales agreement following restoration. And so at the end of the year, the HPC will be charged with determining whether there was any restoration. Can the judgment be reduced? If not, we move on and hope that Mr. Dapper will be able to begin the restoration process in 2026 and therefore reduce the judgments against him. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Stodall. I do have a question as well. When you do these walkthroughs, because I think I agree that what we expect at this point is just to ensure that the building doesn't fall into further neglect and disrepair while he's working on his restoration plans and getting the building permits and tenants lined up. So we know that, physical change to the building is going to be slow in these early years. But when you do the walkthrough, is anybody from code enforcement or anybody else there as well who could maybe recognize if there's some like structural degradation or, some other maybe issues related to maintenance that, just so that we are confirming that it's not, becoming more neglected as we're in these kind of years of waiting for everything to get designed and approved?
So, Madam Vice Chair, Seth Floyd for the record. So, no, we don't take code or the building department on these reviews. I have to give a little thought about how we might utilize that in the future. As Diane pointed out, the purpose of this is just to document what is there so that when you get to the end of the year, you all can make an informed decision about whether to reduce the amount that's owed under the covenants. If we were going to take someone, it would probably be the building department, who we would take an inspector to take a look at those structural elements. I think what we could do, though, is we have a lot of photos. We can certainly show those to our building official and see if there's anything of concern that warrants further investigation, and proceed if we need to at that time.
Okay. I'll, leave that up to your judgment and whether that's something that would be appropriate under our role as HPC. But I'm, was just curious how we're kind of confirming that the building is at least staying as stable as possible. Any other questions from commissioners? No. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Seabrant.
Thank you. And if we can go back to our previous item, the consultant did just walk in.
Great. Okay, we will return to item 6, 0427-HPC1, discussion for possible action regarding approval of the second draft of the intensive level historic resources survey of the Cliff May homes, roughly bounded by Evergreen Avenue, Heron Avenue, Easy Street, Upland Boulevard, and Idle Avenue.
Okay, there we go. Thank you so much. I apologize for being late. I took Bonneville, and this is my first time being in this building, so I was a little confused. So thank you so much for having me. Let's see, I believe the first draft, my name's Zoanne Campana from Couts Environmental Consultants, for the record. I believe the first draft of this report you all reviewed probably almost a year ago. And we were waiting for SHPO to review it and get their comments back. So basically what you're seeing in the second draft is any of your comments have been incorporated into that report. Our review back from SHPO, they didn't have any substantive comments, and they concurred with our findings. And so that's pretty much where it's at now.
Thank you. Vice Chair Laramie, for the record. Could you maybe give kind of a summary of any substantive comments from the commissioners that may have been addressed in this second draft? It was quite a long time ago that we did our review.
It was. I think I'd have to pull up the email. But I believe I had comments from both Vice Chair Laramie and Chair Stoldahl, just asking for a little bit of additional information about some of the Cliff May stuff, which we were able to find and answer to the best of our ability. I believe we also had comments from Commissioner Perdue about fireplaces in the houses, and that was included in the second draft as well.
Okay, great. And I know Dr. Seabrant mentioned, I believe Chair Stoldahl, you had some questions or comments for our presenter.
Thank you. Well, two things. One, I will be submitting, and they are, quite frankly, more ideas and thoughts than corrections. But let me say at this point that this report really stands out as a model for future reports for potential historic neighborhoods. I mean, I found it also an enjoyable read in the sense that not only did we learn about Cliff May and the Las Vegas homes, but the producer of this report also gave us the context of the time and the details of the people that were buying this house, buying those homes. So you really have a sense of the historic value of these homes. This was a very special report for a unique neighborhood. I don't know what the next step is going to be as far as whether or not we're going to try and move forward with any of the recommendations. But for this report, excellent report, and my comments are maybe a comma or a period should have been here, or that one word is misspelled, so they're not really substantive. So thank you, Chair.
Any other comments or questions from commissioners?
Yes, I had a question about the reference to crawl space underneath the concrete slabs, which is made on page 59 and 60. It's my understanding that underneath a concrete slab, there is no crawl space.
That may need to be corrected. The foundations wouldn't, in that case, be a concrete slab. It would be a perimeter foundation.
I think they make reference that most of the construction was a poured slab.
Okay.
I know that I've never seen a crawl space underneath concrete slab, but maybe it exists.
Okay, yeah, I'll double check, because the houses certainly do have crawl spaces. So I'll take a look in the report and fix that.
And one other thing, I would have been interested to find out how Ernie Becker came into contact with Cliff May. Was it just through his experience in California, a reference from someone? But he selected somebody that was evidently very much in the news at the time, and maybe he just heard it by word of mouth, but I would have appreciated a reference to how they came into contact with each other.
Okay, yeah, I don't think we were able to find that information. We tried to source a couple things back to Cliff May in California and how he ended up being here in Las Vegas specifically. So we can always clarify that we looked for that information, but we weren't able to locate it anywhere.
Thank you. Any other comments from commissioners?
Vice Chair Laramie, I'd like to make a motion to accept the report.
Great, we have a motion. All commissioners in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries with the vice chair also voting in favor. Thank you so much, and I also echo our chair's comments. Great report.
Thank you so much. And I can send you a summary of those comments that were addressed. I do have a document if you'd like to see it.
Sure, I would love that.
Okay, perfect.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Okay, we're now on item 8, 25-0429-HPC1, a report by the Community Development Department regarding the National Alliance of Preservation Commission's virtual summer short course, which was held online August 20th and 21st, 2025.
Thank you. Seabrant for the record. So this was the virtual short course that there were several sessions. I still need summaries from 3 of you. I'm not going to call out names, but I really need those in order to get our reimbursement back from SHPO. And thank you to those who have submitted their summaries. And so I just want to give you my summary and what I felt were important topics for this commission. And then I would like to hear from the commissioners that also attended this virtual short course. So overall, I mean, you can read what I've written here, that it was excellent overviews, and they did present in a lot of these sessions good and bad preservation initiatives that hopefully are very useful for everybody to keep in your mind as we move forward with our work. The sessions I felt were really geared towards entry-level positions, but that's really helpful for those of you who are new to HPC or are still learning about what HPCs do. And what I took away from the main points that I found were important is balancing priorities, and that particularly understanding staff resources. I know we want to do a lot of projects. I know that, there's a lot out there that we would love to do, but also understanding that staff is me and Teresa. So there has to be a priority of what we are going to do, because we can only do what we are, physically capable of doing. Also, they did talk about space contributing to the meeting dynamics, and as I said repeatedly, I'm very happy we're in this space. They actually suggested that commissions all sit together at a table so that, it's supposed to be an egalitarian type commission, so that we are all working together. And so I do hope we stay in this space, because I think it is more conducive to what we are working on. And the last one may be difficult to do because we are humans and we do have emotions, but remembering to stay unbiased of reviews. A lot of people, this is a fairly small community with a fairly small historic buildings. And so a lot of people are very emotional or tied to those buildings or places from childhood memories. But when we're in this capacity, all of that has to go. It has to be, are the certificates of appropriatenesses that we're looking at, are they meeting the requirements or not, without putting emotion into it? And again, I understand that can be difficult, but those are the main takeaways I took. And so, Hollis, did you want to start with what you felt was, then again, this is the virtual, not yet the Milwaukee.
I'm glad they didn't hear that. Hollis Gillespie for the record. So I probably still fall into that category of more of an entry-level preservationist. I found that this virtual short course was very useful in a couple things. One is I'm still learning some vocabulary and how cities and municipalities work and address historic preservation. So the ones that were particularly useful and kind of dovetailed were on zoning ordinances and also easements. And so there were several. What I like is there's usually some really good case studies in how using those tools either help or in some cases don't help, and how people have learned from that. And I found that is something I want to continue to learn more about, particularly as it relates to this city. And then since I happen to always be a fan of building materials and that kind of thing, I was particularly enjoyed the session as looking at some of the Secretary of Interior standards on rehabilitation, because there were several case studies related to when can you actually replace or repair material that is in various stages of degradation, and when is it appropriate and also still can be consistent with historic preservation standards of using a newer material or a newer technology. And so that was useful for me. My hobby horse complaint with most of these sessions is there still seems to be kind of a temperate weather East Coast bias, and that's only because I'm looking for case studies of places of the arid Southwest, and that'll happen. It's just a matter of happenstance.
Okay, thank you. Should we just go down the line then? Todd, I think you were the next one that also participated.
Yeah, thank you, Todd Modi. I'll be brief. I thought it was a great primer, and it would have been really helpful for me as a new commissioner to have been able to, to watch something like that. So I don't know if it's possible for new commissioners to be directed to this. I don't know if it will still be available, but I think it would be super helpful.
Okay, thank you. Cheryl?
However, what I have read, I have enjoyed it very much. I think it's been very insightful. One idea that I liked was where they had sidewalk markers and with on a pedestal with pictures on the top. And I thought possibly on Fremont Street, because there's so much foot traffic, that would be an ideal spot for early photos and early history about Fremont Street because so many people come to Las Vegas. So many people come to Las Vegas and have no idea of what our history is or where it started or how it started. And I think possibly putting it in front of them would be a real help. I also enjoyed very much the restoration of the buildings, especially the train depot. But it was excellent, and I think it would be a help to any new person.
Okay, thank you. Nathan?
Commissioner Harper, for the record, I just want to echo what Commissioner Gillespie and Commissioner Moody said. It really was a fantastic rundown. Like I said, a good primer for folks learning about some of this stuff. In particular, I think the zoning session and the easement sessions were both really important. I think all the commissioners would really benefit from watching those. And these, I think, are available for 90 days after this. So there's still a chance for you to go and see these. The other thing I want to highlight is there were over 300 people in these sessions, and a lot of them were in the chat, were commenting, were asking questions, so it was very active. And the other exciting thing about that is you know all these names now, you know all these people that were in there. So if you do have a direct question, that you can go to those people directly now that you're virtual friends from the NAPC Virtual Summer Short Course. Thank you.
That's a good point, yes. Anybody else? Sandra, did you participate? No. Okay, did I miss anybody? Oh, I'm sorry, Chair Stodal.
Yes, I really echo what everybody was saying. In the sense, to me, this wasn't the fundamentals for somebody just starting in historic preservation. It was a reminder to whatever level you were in the historic preservation process, the key duties that we have. And I'd almost like to see this every year to remind me what are our fundamental goals. And I also took away some smaller things like the marker program. I think that's a real opportunity for the city of Las Vegas. We have markers throughout the community from different projects and different times, and they're outdated and some have been stolen. So there's an opportunity in that. So there are a lot of reminders in these sessions that I made notes for the future, but I thought they were great and almost something we should require watching for every year. So thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for everybody for participating. And again, these are offered once a year. And I do encourage everybody to raise their hand when we ask you if you'd like to sign up, because if you can't watch them live, you are able to watch them as recordings at a later date. So unless anybody had questions for me.
Commissioner Laramie, I did have a couple questions and comments. So the first, you shared that there was some excellent examples of kind of both good and bad preservation initiatives. I don't know if those slides or examples are available, but I would love to see what they shared in that respect.
We did dump everything into our database, so I'll look and see what they have and send it to you, or I'll send it to everybody.
Okay, that would be great. And then I also just wanted to share, related to your kind of takeaway of staying unbiased and trying to leave your emotions out of it. I attended an NAPC training some number of years ago that was really helpful for me, that talked about how to use the Secretary of Interior standards to really guide your conversation about, when you're discussing certificates of appropriateness, and that if you can't find a standard that helps drive, the point you're trying to make or the conversation that you're trying to have, then it's probably an emotion-based argument that doesn't really fit within the context that we should be reviewing buildings. And that really helped kind of guide how I approach my reviews. So just wanted to share that as a really useful tool and a lens to use when we're trying to stay unbiased on these things. Any other questions or comments from commissioners on what was shared?
Hollis Gillespie, for the record. This is a reminder because I have also benefited by, throughout the year, I don't know if it's monthly, but it seems with great frequency, we can sign up for free for additional webinars. There's one tomorrow, which I thought was today, on historic preservation in context. And so you know, if you don't get to the actual conference timing, you can keep up.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Seabrandt. We'll go to item 9, 25-0430-HPC1, a report by the Community Development Department regarding the National Trust for Historic Preservation Past Forward 2025 conference held in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, September 16th through 18th, 2025.
Seaborn for the record, and thank you. So this was our conference just last week, so it should be fresh in everybody's mind. And just want to give you, I can't give you everything that we saw, but just some of the highlights. There were quite a bit of field studies and tours that were taking us around to different sites and places. So you get that really not only sitting in a conference listening to somebody speak, but you're out there, you're with the experts, they're explaining what they did with a building or what wasn't done with a building. And so you get like every sense is able to concentrate on whatever topic was being discussed. So I found several of the adaptive reuse buildings that were very, very interesting. So this on your slide or in front of you is a sugar beet factory that was constructed in 1906. And this was actually in Madison, Wisconsin, about like an hour or so, an hour and a half from Milwaukee. It was a sugar beet factory, like I said, starting in 1906, and it operated as a factory until the late 20s. The image that you see on the left is as it looked in the early 1900s. It then became a general store and a feed store, and now it's called Garver Feed Factory. But it was abandoned in the late 90s and then purchased by a developer in, when was it, 2016, and they redeveloped it into this space that you see on the picture on the right. That's the interior, so you can still see the factory type windows, but there's a bar lounge in there, there's a coffee place, there's a pizza place, there's also, they have some boutique kind of clients, yoga, plants, artwork. It was a really interesting case study and using a giant abandoned building for something that now is quite popular. There's some colleges around there, so there's a lot of young people riding their bikes coming over there and utilizing that space. Thought that was very interesting. And the other one was the Pabst Brewery Bottling House, and this is in the heart of downtown Milwaukee. It was built in 1889, and for those of us who remember the TV show Laverne and Shirley, they actually filmed the opening inside this bottling house when it was still a bottling house. And so now it's actually student housing. It went into disuse in, I think they sold it in 1996. It was remodeled in 2015. And that was from, developers bought it in 2006, and from 2006 to 2015, they did the redevelopment. So the image on your right is the interior that was once part of that factory, and they've put in, they kept the original steelwork, but they've put in a sidewalk, and they're very small, really suites, so catering to the college age clientele there. But again, just a really good example of, you see that they've kept the exterior completely original. It's just the interior that they did redesign. So those are my two slides. And Hollis, did you want to come down or stay up there? No, I'll let you switch.
Okay, Hollis Gillespie for the record. So one of the things I wanted to say is a general comment. The last two historic preservation conferences I've been generously supported by this commission in the city have had a lot more focus on conservation districts and landscape conservation and things in a kind of a bigger picture. And I really appreciated that, because I see that we have in this city a lot of opportunity for communities that may not have enough contributing resources in to name a neighborhood, but to get, expand it out a little bit and look for some ways of bringing in that historic significance. And so one of the things, and also because I happen to be a longtime fan of Frank Lloyd Wright, is that we got to look at a lot of examples of architecture, in this case, an iconoclastic and unyielding architect who, from the late 1800s, is still relevant and still has adherents and students, and looking at some of the buildings and furnishings that don't really look that old. There's still a lot of contemporary aspects to them. You can read till the cows come home how the, falling water is leaking and, so on and so forth. But there's still some principles of architecture and design that informs a lot of preservation efforts, and not just in those particular design buildings. Let me go to the next one. Hollis Gillespie for the record. I concur with Dr. Sebrink, because one of the benefits that I particularly got, each of the sessions I attended had several examples of adaptive reuse, and I thought that was really useful to see and to learn about. I thought I took pictures of the Horlicks factory, which is a campus of like 9 former factories that they're still in the process, because they're using tax code and other easements to get these things done, but they, in Racine, Wisconsin, they've got several buildings that are completed that they've converted to both market rate and affordable housing, some maker space and entrepreneurial workshops, and some presentation spaces. So that was handy. But I also attended a session on sacred spaces and some of the historical work that's been done there. We went, and this was interesting to me, the Conrad Schmidt Studios is a long-time facility that works with a number of clients, but a lot with sacred spaces. So we saw working and restoring different types of stained glass, murals, looking for original materials, original palettes, and very much a current and busy place. And, I think I asked one of the workers where they got that training, and it was his father. I mean, it was sort of, there was a family connection where things are passed down. And it looked like from the different sites we went to, that there were a number of facilities. We went to a seminary, we went to a couple of more modern facilities, that some of them really need work and probably don't have the funding or the wherewithal to do it, but we saw what could be done, and some of the materials that they used that were really innovative for that time, some things particularly from the early 60s. And in that same time, we went over, wanted to see another Frank Lloyd Wright building. This was a commercial building. It was the S.C. Johnson admin building. It's still a workable company, and I took a picture of the car park because there were some innovative pillars there that looks sort of like they're upside down, but at the time that was pretty groundbreaking and structurally sound and still visually interesting, and someplace that's still used today. I think Michelle might have some other things to say too, because.
Yeah, Commissioner Laramie, I apologize as I don't have any slides. These other commissioners are really showing me up here, but I do have some takeaways to share. A couple, I guess, kind of random thoughts that I've been having since I went on the trip. So the first one I'll share is just a quote that really sat with me from one of the sessions, is that preservation is a blend of humanities, science, and economics. And I thought that was a really great way to think about what preservation is and what we're actually, kind of the realm of professions that we're working with here, and why it can be so important, to preserve kind of our cultural and humanities aspect, taking the science into account of how do we actually restore and preserve buildings, but then also at the end of the day that it does need to be economical. And even if it potentially doesn't pencil out financially wise, what is the return on investment to the community? And so those are all very important things to consider. And I thought that was a good way of kind of blending the different issues that we're juggling in preservation. Another aspect is, as Commissioner Gillespie shared, was just having the opportunity to visit some very iconic architecture and Frank Lloyd Wright's buildings and design. And I'm also, personally very inspired by Frank Lloyd Wright. But even, seeing buildings that are just preserved as time capsules, I think can have the same type of inspiration for people. And so finding and understanding what are our time capsule buildings in our community, I think is an important exercise for us as a commission to do. I sketched while I was there, and that has not something I have done in many, many years. And so I think it just really kind of highlighted the importance for me that some of these buildings and masterpieces, and seeing in their, original context, the impact that that can have on people, and also tying our preservation efforts into our local student and education community, and helping educate our students about what preservation is and why it's important, and bringing that work to kind of our next generation of designers and tradespeople, I think is very important as well. And that kind of reminded me of the importance of sharing our work with the broader community, and those who are, gearing up to work in it in future years. The last takeaway that I'll share is there was a big emphasis on the conference about tying preservation efforts into sustainability and kind of the green building movement. We've probably all heard that the greenest building is the building that already exists. And I especially think with the city's focus on sustainability, there may be some overlap in our goals as a commission that we haven't really looked into or taken advantage of. And so spending some time as a commission in the future to better understand what the city's sustainability goals are and how preservation can help progress some of those goals is an important exercise, and something I'm going to be suggesting for future projects. So that's what I have.
Thank you, and Seaburn, for the record. And we did have this conversation, those of us who attended, and looking at having Marco come in and giving us some information, because he is our sustainability expert. I'm just telling Seth this while he's sitting here. So, but I think that if this could be a very interesting way to go, and we'll definitely ask him to come in and discuss how we can perhaps marry those two together. Thank you.
Quick question, Commissioner Moody, where is next year's conference?
What? No, that's the different one. I think it's Minneapolis. Oh.
Any other questions or comments from commissioners on the information we discussed?
Commissioner Surface, I just want to thank you all for bringing this information back to us and highlighting the importance of sustainability, adaptive reuse. And I know this, in my personal opinion, the city's out in the forefront in this area compared to a lot of the other municipalities. So I think that'd be a great idea if Marco could come and talk to us and share some vision and some ideas, coupled with what you folks gleaned from attending the conference. I think that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from commissioners or Chair Stodel on the phone?
No, I'd simply echo what was just said. The time that has been taken out of your time by going to these conferences, and what you bring back is just invaluable. And I was going to have some comments at the next meeting regarding the work you've done at these conferences, but I'll just echo saying thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chair Stoldahl. Okay, we will move on to item number 10, a report by the Community Development Department regarding director's updates.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Seth Floyd for the record. Diane covered a lot of ground today with those reports, and I don't have anything else to add, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, do we have any questions from our commissioners for Director Floyd? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to item 11, which is a report by the Community Development Department regarding our project update list.
And once again, Seabrant for the record. So we just have our 4 projects. I'm sorry, there's really just 3 projects in place. The 4th one is our for our information. So the Old Mormon Fort National Register update, because of the state's cyber attack, and Hollis can weigh in on how this is still an ongoing issue, they weren't able to get the material out to the board members. So that report, the update for that National Register is not going to be until the December 5th State Board meeting, which I believe is in...
Hollis Gillespie for the record. It is at Lost City Museum in Overton, so please come.
Yes, yeah, everybody is welcome to go. The Cliff May Homes, we did have the second report, the second draft report today. Again, send me the comments that for those any slight changes that we need before we have the final report, which is in our October meeting. The Floyd Land Park Historical Report, that is also going to be at our October meeting. I'll be able to get that to everybody this week, before the end of this week. So it's, again, a quite robust report that will take a bit of time to read. And then for the original Las Vegas High School, now the Las Vegas Academy of the Performing Arts, they will be giving a campus update also at our October meeting. And then just one last time as the reminder that I need those summaries by October 6th for those of you who attended the virtual summer short course. And happy to answer questions if there are any.
Thank you. Any questioners for any questions from commissioners for Dr. Seabrant? Any questions from Chair Stodel on the phone?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Seabrant. We'll move to item number 12, 25-0431-HPC1, a report by the Community Development Department regarding historic and archaeological resources in local media. Dr. Seabrant?
I'm sorry, that's just the list that everybody reads.
Yes.
Yeah, so if everybody read it.
Okay, nothing to add. We got our great list of media coverage as usual. So we'll move on to item 13, a discussion regarding topics for future agenda items. Comments made during this portion of the agenda by individual members shall refer solely to proposals for future agenda items, and any discussion shall be limited to whether or not such proposed items are within the purview of the Commission, and or whether such proposed items shall be placed on a future agenda. No discussion regarding the substance of any such proposed topic shall occur, and no action shall be taken. Any commissioners have any future agenda topics they'd wish to propose? This is Commissioner Laramie. I do have one topic, and Diane talked about this a little bit in her summary of the NAPC conference, and it was something that we discussed together. So the last time we really did any strategic planning together as a commission, I think was a little over 5 years ago. I think it was right when Dr. Seabrant was coming on board. But I think it would be important for us as a commission to kind of re-strategize around, what are our resources? What are our goals? Also, what does the community want from a preservation perspective? And kind of put together, a plan based on our resources and our goals for what priorities we want to achieve over the next handful of years. So I'd like to suggest or ask for a future agenda item to kind of have that discussion on how we might accomplish that. And then we can work through, however many discussions we need to move that forward. Any other topics to consider for future agenda items by commissioners? Okay, we will move to citizens' participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the commission. No subject may be acted upon by the commission unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, please come forward and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed, may be limited. We do not have any audience members, but do any commissioners wish to make public comment?
This is Commissioner Harper, for the record. I just wanted to note the passing of Guy Rocha. There was a very thorough recognition of him in the Nevada Independent just a few days ago. So just wanted to make sure that we recognize his contributions to Nevada history. So thanks.
Thank you so much for that, and we'll probably see that pop up on next month's media coverage. It looks like that's all the comment we have, and this meeting is adjourned.